All right, guys, welcome to week three's recap. Joining us today is, as always, is Mr. Cortez Peoples, and our
What
special
up?
for the week we have Coach Josh Arsenault. Thank you for joining us today, Coach Josh. How you doing?
Good. What up, party people?
Doing well, doing well. Well, without further ado, we're gonna get right into this. First game of the day goes to the Magic and the Bucks. Now, this game was actually a pretty good game. Wasn't a bad game to watch. Was very interesting. Thought the Bucks would take this away early, but the Magic just held on. Um, Coach Josh, as you are our special guest for the week, I'm gonna have you give us your insight on this game. How do you think this game went for each team?
Um, yeah, I think it's the first. I think it's the first game that the Magic didn't have Billy, so I don't think they should feel too bad about the how the game ended up because they're just trying to figure out who's going to be that guy. Probably don't really have a closer right now anymore, but who's going to give them momentum when they're stuck, and then just from a leadership standpoint, knowing who's going to start to gather the team together and get them refocused. So not a bad game for them. I don't think they should hang their heads too much. And then I think also just individually players finding their identity and where they fit in. So I liked what I saw Pope doing, liked what I saw Garrison doing. Townsend probably needs more opportunities to get put in some more catch and shoot opportunities. But little flashes of greatness, and then probably CC probably is the one person that they probably need to just be more consistent, step up. TJ's developing a lot. He's not just he's starting to shoot from outside. He's not really missing bad, and then he's when he drives, he's just maybe a step slower than he needs to be. So, but he's getting there. So yeah, they just have to have a little bit more confidence in each other a little bit better. As far as the Bucks though, man, Bucks are like sort of my favorite sort of sleeper team. I like the momentum they have right now. I don't think anyone thought they were going to do anything this year, and so Caleb's really consistent every week. Q Quan is Shaw is always there. And then, they got a couple pieces like Chris Anderson, and I like to see Patrick Allen get a couple more touches. But overall, it was good to see a pretty competitive game for most of it. So trying to see if any statistics really stand out in this. So like the Bucks had more turnovers than the Magic, so they only had 4 turnovers. That's really good. Look at how many shots though. Like they had 6. So Magic had 60 shot attempts, and the Bucks only had 39, and they still lost by 10. So that just means they're getting, I don't know how high a percentage of those shots. Are they good shots? Are they forcing baskets? But they must be rebounding offensively or defensively pretty well, because it's not like the Bucks are getting second chance opportunities, just shooting for a good percentage. So yeah.
I agree with your take totally. I think that the Magic played very, very hard. I think that rebounding number, like you said, they did get a lot of offensive rebounds. They got more shot attempts up, 20 for 60. So that lets you know that they were doing their best to get shots up and to get their guys an opportunity to win. Mr. Peoples, how do you feel that this game went for both teams?
Who is TJ with?
He's a tall guy, kid. Kidding.
Josh, you gonna get me on the show because I'm very, 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 very Walter. No, I'm very animated. I know exactly who TJ Wicks is. I was just trying to find out if he was still on the team or not. Because he's the tallest guy in the gym at 6'7", 6'8", but has 3 rebounds. 8 points. But guess what? Guess what he succeeded at? 4 fouls. So he almost fouled out. So he almost succeeded at that. Listen, for this Magic team to win, he has to step up big without Billy. Because I mean, Casey had 19, and I feel like where is that 30-point person like Billy was, or anything of that nature? Like I don't see. And it went back to just scoring more points than the other team. As I stated last week, I just don't think that they can score more points than their opponent, which will result in them losing the game without Billy. Bucks, I mean, they played to their strength. They went down inside to Quan. Quan had an efficient game, 9 rebounds, 18 points. I mean, you can't beat that. Chris Anderson, just presence of being a big guy down there, made a difference. And then, of course, Caleb knocking down some threes, 5 for 6 for 3. That's pretty efficient. Well, of course, I would like to see more from Alex, because he didn't play good the prior week either. I think he's really trying to get himself acclimated back to the game prior to him coming back to the league. So, I mean, this is definitely what I expected from watching the game. But like I said, I just don't see them outscoring any other team because they just don't have enough scoring from anyone else. So, yeah. But, I hope they win at least 1 or 2 more games. But I just don't see it.
That's a pretty good take. Don't think that you're too inaccurate with that one. What I will say is, shots just were not falling for the Magic. The Bucks made 2 more field goals. The 3-point shot was really what kept the Bucks in the game. Both the Johnsons, Caleb and Evan, were doing a very good job from downtown. Caleb Johnson, very efficient, displaying why he's as good as he is. He only took 8 shots and had 24 points. That's as efficient as it gets. Like, you really can't play too much better. Missed 2 shots total, 1 shot at the free throw line. Overall solid, had 2 assists, had 3 rebounds, had 2 turnovers, but that's what happens when you have the ball a lot. He had the ball a lot in his hand. He was very patient as well. Didn't settle for any quick jumpers or jumpers in people's space. He took the shots that were available for him. Didn't force anything in the offense. Hit it down low when they needed to. Quan Shaw, huge for this team. Hit 6 of 10 in his free throws, which is actually, for him, I like that. I like the fact that he's getting to the line and can make a decent amount of free throws. The 18-9 is huge. Malinich needs to show up for this team a little more. Only took 2 shots, had 4 rebounds, had 3 assists. He's a very good passing big man. The goose egg, you just can't have a goose egg from one of the bigger guys in the league. But as far as the Magic go, Casey Garrison, I like his game a lot. I think he's going to end up being a leading scorer for this Magic team. This Magic team is, and this is just a joke, but, I PA'd this game, and, they tell the referees, tell the players to sit in front of the bench, and I'm like, you guys do not have to sit because I know how hard it's going to be for you guys to get up. This is an older team, you know what I mean? So, they're trying to play to their strengths. They just have to find out, Marcus Pope with 12 and 10. Pope did a pretty good job making things happen and making things, shake on that end. They did out rebound the Bucks. TJ Wicks does have to have a better game. He did foul out. I personally think that he needs to kind of go into his defenders and not fade away so much. Because he already has, his arms are so long. Like, if he just uses his height and his size, the referees are going to give him the whistle because you can't really do too much with it. But that's really my take on this game. The Magic played as well as I think they could have. If they can start scoring between 65, 70 points a game, they'll win a few more games. But 58 points, they score higher than they did last week with Billy. So I will give them that credit. But I think that they're just gonna have to be a team that can put the ball in the basket at this point. And they're gonna have to. TJ just can't be in foul trouble because he's their best defender. And we'll go to the next game, and the next game is the Grizzlies and the Sixers. Really good game. Both teams had 5 players to start the game. Players for the Sixers showed up as the game went along. Grizzlies remained with 5. I'll just go off a few stat lines. Jordan Winfield with 20.6 rebounds. Miles Bergen, I believe, player of the week candidate. 25 points, 15 rebounds. Amazing performance from him, especially getting to the line, 9 for 10 from the free throw line. The Sixers win this game 65-63. Grizzlies struggled in the first half, only scoring 27 points to the Sixers 38. Chad White with 18 points, only on 9 shots. Didn't take as many shots as he probably needed to this game. He fouled out this game as well, so the Grizzlies ended up with 4 down the stretch. He only had 6 rebounds. That team was just crashing the glass as much as they could. Rich Kirk had a breakout game, 20 points, 4 rebounds. Wally Watson finally broke out of his shell, had 13 points and 8 assists with 1 turnover. It's an amazing game for him. Walter Hudson, I'm just going to speak in third person so I don't be to be so objective. 8 points, 4 turnovers, 5 rebounds, 3 for 13 shooting. That can't happen, especially in a 2-point game. Cortez, I want you to tell me more about this game. How did you feel about how this game went?
Oh my God. Miles Bergens is he's very determined. I'm gonna say that as a guard, a big guard at that. Not in height, but just size wise. He's almost unguardable sometimes. I mean, he had 15 rebounds and 25 points. And he probably was the smallest guy on the court in height, but just his stature, his will, his go get it. And Jonathan did a really good job coaching in this game. Even when I think y'all attempted to go like a little boxing one on Bergens a little bit. Walt?
No, it wasn't a boxing one. What we did, we started the game out in man, and then we fell to a 2-3, and then Bergens just basically shot the middle and got to the middle of the floor and got what he wanted. So then we went 3-2.
Oh, okay.
So 3-2 kind of helped.
So yeah, Allen Cook had a more involved game. This game he had 7 rebounds, 6 points. So and then the Grizzlies, I mean, they didn't have everyone, but obviously my brother on the other side of the mic definitely should have had a better game than what he had to help out Chad, and I think he knows that. And just how many turnovers? 9 turnovers not bad. I mean, 9 turnovers not bad at all, but I think it was the time when the turnovers happened that made it bad. And I just feel like, of course, when they add Chris and the other players that they have, they come more dynamic as far as scoring wise. So I mean, it was definitely a good game. And this is just one of those games where the 76ers just scored 2 more points more than the Grizzlies, and I mean, someone had to win. So, but I mean, I was very intrigued. I am very disappointed in this 0-3 start from the Grizzlies, though. But hopefully they turn around in the next coming weeks.
All right, Coach Josh. What you got about this
So
game?
this game was important for both teams because everyone wants to have at least a win on the board, and I thought that we obviously Grizzlies has been a team that's been around, and so we know that you didn't have one of your best players, and you were playing hurt, and so like I think obviously that you're a
No
very important
excuses,
part of
Josh.
the team.
No excuses, Josh.
Well,
No excuses.
understandable. Yeah, no, I agree. I think too that it's you have these two different alter egos, so to speak, or personalities. Where I've seen you play, like in the summer league, where it's all on you, and you have to do everything. And and I don't know how we get that over here to where you sort of because I still think that you need to be the setup man on this team and sort of like it's sort of like even like with Trey Anthony, how last year compared to this year, how his game's completely different, and he's doing everything, a little bit of everything. He's a part of every little play, and so I think it's hard to rely too much on Chris if he's not going to be there every week because he's just one of those guys that he's just going to score. He's not really a facilitator, and so people are used to just giving him the ball and they just sort of sit back, And so if you bring that sort of mentality into the next game where you think I'm just going to sit back, well, someone's got to step up, right? Someone's got to create plays, and so I think for you guys, that, and you said you have some people coming next week that are getting their jerseys, so hopefully that will change the dynamic. But it's just we don't know what Grizzly team we're going to get. It's got a different face every time, and Chad always does his job. And I really liked watching Rich this week because he stepped up, was getting outside shots, and was pretty much just getting himself short corner a lot of times, those easy layups. So I liked what he was doing. I like Wally's tempo when he's got a great tempo, very patient when he's dribbling, keeps his dribble, waits for the play to sort of form. It just got sweet two-step Euro. So like the pieces are there, but it's sort of hard to win when you're undermanned and you're just not used to having that main guy that picks up, and closes for you, So as far as 76ers though, I was really JT, I was really proud of him because earlier, I think last week, we were supposed to try to practice or do something together. And he had said he had actually strained his hamstring. So he wasn't going to even play the whole game. And so it was sort of neat to see him sort of say, hey, man, I got to go in here and do something. And he basically changes the momentum of the game by hitting 2 threes. And I think he took a charge in between those 2 threes. And I think that's what really changed the momentum because really you guys outscored them in the second half. But that little stretch there really got them to where they got over the hump and I think gave them the momentum to finish. I think some horrible stats for them, which is crazy, is 1 for 12 for Trey and 1 for 9 for Donald or for Don. And they look like all good catch and shoot shots, and so they just gotta figure out how they're missing. And this is like just constructive criticism because I know for sure that Don is capable of being a great shooter. So if they figure that out, and then I think Alan Cook is sort of like that glue man. He great rebounds. He had 4 assists. If he just can figure out how to turn those rebounds into scores, then I think he needs to get 10 or 15 points for them to be a good team. But I think those are going to be their big 3 probably, and they'll compete. I don't know how many more games they'll win, but they'll definitely compete.
Well, from the just from my perspective on this game, absolutely. My performance just horrific around the board. Like if you do watch it, airball the mid-range jump shot, airball the floater. 3 of my turnovers came in the final minutes of the game. not really helping my team succeed, not carrying momentum. We were fighting from behind most of the game. I had 13 shot attempts, tied with Rich Kirk for the most shot attempts on the team. When Wally Watson and Chad White, who had it going, didn't take nearly as many shots as we did. So there's really no excuse for the performance that I gave. Not gonna sit here and woe is me. We did push later in the game. We had made a run with 4 players,
Right.
which I was proud of. Wally Watson did a really good job of trusting his teammates, even though I was having the game that I was having. And I do want to say that about Miles Bergens as well. He was like really wanting his team to come through. Like I told him, like I remember saying something to him in the middle of the game, like, "Hey, like you doing what you got to do, my guy." And he was like, "Nah, we got to make shots." And he was going off at this point. And I'm thinking like he's not thinking about himself one bit. He's thinking he gave Trey 12 3-point attempts and he only made one. And the one that he made changed the entire game. So it was like that was literally like Miles Bergens. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think people understand that about him. It's like I really love his game. I respect his mentality toward the game. I respect his mentality toward winning the game. He understands that he can't do it alone. And in order to win the game, he needed his team to come through. Jordan Winfield had an amazing game to support him with the 20 points and the 6 rebounds. They got to the free throw line too. They kept attacking and forcing the referees to blow their whistle. And that helped them out because they had 5 to start the game. So they were able to get breathers as the game went along. So I think that the Sixers just played this game very well. And like you said, Jonathan Townsend, amazing job coaching this game. And when he felt like that his players weren't receiving, not that they weren't listening, because they have his respect, but they weren't receiving what he was saying, he stepped in and showed his team what it is that they needed. And right after he showed them and he got out the game, his team followed suit and they remained with the game plan, and he showed them why they can win this game. Hats off to Jonathan Townsend for the way he coached the game. Hats off to Miles Bergens for the way he played the game and his supporting cast. And Allen Cook, a very underrated game from him. He let me get not one outlet, and that's usually where I thrive, is in the fast break. So shout out to them for understanding and identifying the man and their game plan. And that's all I really have to say about that game. We'll move on to the next game. We have the Thunder and the Lakers. This game was much closer than I thought it would be. The Thunder gave a really good fight, I'll say. The Link brothers really came to play. 23 points from CJ Link, really good game from Cam Link. 16 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists from him. Not much from the supporting cast. You got Keyshawn Williams with 7. You got Brazion Thomas with 7. Antoine Peterson with 8, and Ahmad Smith with 4. And then for the Lakers, they're now 3-0. Tone Brooks with the amazing all-around game, 16 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds. And then you had Terrell Hendricks had a great game as well, 10 for 16, 1 for 3 from 3, 3 for 5 from the free throw line. He had 24 points and 4 rebounds. And then you had Andre Robertson Jr. with 12 points and 4 steals. You know he's going to poke that ball from somebody. And Quill Marshall gave them a spark too. 3 for 5 from the field, 2 for 3 from the three-point line, 8 points, 3 rebounds for him. If you can get that from Quill every game, that just only increases their chances of being able to succeed. Cortez, tell me more about this game.
Don't forget, Chris Kalmis had 1 rebound. and he had 1 assist. Look at him. Listen, I was actually nervous the first 3 minutes of the game for the Lakers, because I'm like, because I know I called the Thunder the old Miami Heat team from last year, and it'll be times when they come out and they hit on all cylinders and win the game, So I'm thinking, okay, this probably be one of those games that they upset, but then Lakers picked up the intensity, and they went on a little run, and the Thunder just fell apart. Where am I trying to go here? Where is the leader for the Thunder? There is no leader for the Thunder that can that can get everyone together when teams make a run and get everyone back on track. For the Lakers, I mean, they just stayed to that identity of playing together. And even though Mark didn't have a really efficient game at all with 8 points, but Tone still put in 16, and Terrell put in 24, and Andre, like you said, put in 12. So, I mean, everyone did something in this game for the Lakers. Like I just said, Chris got a rebound, got an assist. So they like playing with each other, and they like working together. I do feel as though I am concerned about the Lakers a little bit when I think about long term. But I'll get to that later on. But this was a very entertaining game, to say the least.
Okay, and Coach Josh, what you got?
So yeah, I think for just to give Thunder credit, yeah, it was good to see Cam get into the hole and CJ, them guys just playing their game, so to speak. Felt like last year when they're in the Heat, they had like spurts of that, but definitely they should be proud of this game that they had some really good stretches, and it's just about how can we do this over and over again. Same with Rajon. Didn't have Rajon has a lot more potential on this team, and it's sometimes not the person's fault. Sometimes it's the spacing of the team, and some people are cutting into the driving lanes, and so that's messing up where the person flourishes the most. But Antoine Peterson, I think he's got a lot more potential to give them as well. And I just see them getting better and better as they play. But they had some really good stretches offensively, but at the end there were some really, really bad defensive plays as well. So I hate it to see when a team just basically lets a person drive on the first catch, the first attempt. And I would have liked to see them, especially how athletic they are, they should be able to lock down a little bit better and force them to pass it or reverse the ball. Because that really would have determined whether I think they would have had a chance to win the game, or just get back into it. So that's just going to hopefully come with someone becoming a leader and keeping them focused. And that's tough to do when you're a brand new team. But they did out rebound the Lakers, and so they have to. I think what they have to do too is just say we're going to pride ourselves on defense and rebounding, and let the rest of the game come to us. Because those are all effort things. So you don't really have to be necessarily, it's just talking on defense and then even letting the worst shooters be open so you can help better. So I really like what they did. Now, Lakers, too, I agree with you, Cortez. I don't know. It's like, is this a win or a loss if you're the Lakers? So let's talk about what did other teams do against the Thunder? So let's see. We played them. The Celtics played them. They beat them by 20. The Nets played them. They beat them by 30, right? So when you're the Lakers and you want to be – I think they had a great record last year, but like, do you say this is a good win? And when you see what you shot from the outside, it's terrible. You're 3 of 18. So your whole game is driving. And when you play the better defensive teams, they're probably going to leave you open because you just don't have any rhythm and you're not knocking down threes. So we'll just clog the lane on you. You know what I mean? So it's hard not to pat. And like I said, Thunder weren't playing that good a defense. For them to stop driving on them and stop doing that is one thing, but I would like to see them shooting, 30-40% from the 3-point line. And then when they play the better teams, they're going to get those lanes opening up, which is what they do. But yeah, they have to be thinking right now, are we as good as we should be? and sort of have a plan for that.
I agree to you to some extent. I think that this Lakers team is very great as far as like the individual talent that they have. Robertson Jr., Terrell Hendricks, Tone Brooks, Mark Connor, like those guys, that four is a really good four to have on the team. Their games don't really conflict each other because Tone Brooks doesn't have to be that number one scorer every night. He can do it all. Like you say, he had 8 assists and 8 rebounds. Like when Tone isn't making shots, he's gonna find something else to do, and that's one thing I like about his game. Terrell Hendricks is gonna take shots. If he's not taking shots, he's not Terrell Hendricks. So that's one thing about him. And he was 10 for 16. He did his job. So for a guy that's supposed to take shots, you only miss 6. You shoot 62% from the field, 33% from 3. I'll take it. You know, Mark Connor probably could have had a better game, but I think that, like I said, the game from Quill Marshall having his 8, Devontae Barnes having 6 points, Andre Robertson Jr. having 12, when he doesn't necessarily have to shoot the ball as well. He's really a defender, and he gets his teammates involved. I think that this team is going to have to find a way to dominate. Once they find out how to dominate with the guys that they have, then it'll be a different story. But we'll move on to the next game. And this was game of the week, and this was an amazing game all the way up into the end. Matchups all across the board. It was some, yeah, this was an amazing game all the way to the end. The Nets in 3-0. Both of these teams 2-0 going into this game. 1-point game. The Celtics led by 10 going into the second half, winning 33-23. And then the Nets ended up, sorry, it's my phone. The Nets ended up bouncing back in the second half, which is what they usually do when they're down. They usually bounce back and ended up winning 37-26. 60-59 final score. I'll give you some numbers here. Martavius Laster, 6 for 7 for 16, 19 points, 5 rebounds and 4 steals. Dennis Koger with 10.7 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Shot 3 for 13, 1 for 5 from 3. Didn't have a great shooting night, but he hit the biggest bucket of the night. And then you have Jameer Hines, 5 for 11, 3 for 7 from 3. All 3 of those threes were very timely. 2 of them came within the last, I want to say, 4 minutes of the game. And he just came from this Celtic team, which was the Suns last year. If you guys could see me, I put quotes up. And he had 5 rebounds as well, which is huge. For this to be a smaller team, they did do a really good job rebounding. And then on the other side for the Celtics, you had Vashawn Sims, who had somewhat of an off game. He had a really good first half, and in the second half, he kind of fell off. He had 11 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Not like him to have 1 assist. He's really good. He's an energy guy. Like, he's a guy that gets his team going with his energy and makes other players feel good about doing what they do. And as dynamic as he was feeding the bigs, letting them go to work. K-Voss does what he does in K-Voss fashion, 23 points, 11 rebounds. And then you had Phil Andrade with 14 points and 7 rebounds on 9 shot attempts. Made 4 of them. You guys got to the line, 11 for 17, probably shooting yourself in the foot. They were 8 for 10 from the free throw line, probably the best stat line I've seen from the free throw line from any team, only missing 2 free throws. Free throws probably lost you guys this game, if I'm being honest. Outside of that, Coach Josh, I'll let you take the floor first. You tell me from a coach's perspective, what could have happened and what did you see from both teams?
Well, so as a coach, I would say there's a lot of things that I could tell you that we probably need to be working on. But I sort of knew coming into this game that I didn't think we were at where we needed to be. And what I tell you before the game?
I'm trying to remember what you told me. You told me something about getting in someone's head, I think.
Well, I have no doubt this team, we're going to have a great season. We're going to win a lot of games, you know, but when it comes to like winning the whole thing, you can't turn it on and turn it off. You got to be playing at the same level.
I remember what you said now.
Yeah. So, you know, my fear was that we're overconfident. And what I told you is I sort of secretly hope we
wanted you to lose.
And why I say that is there's tons of undefeated teams you see that they go into the playoffs or whatever, and they get knocked out in the first round or whatever. And I love the confidence of our team, and I love like the dynamic that we have. But there's two or three key elements that we're not picking up, and I probably won't give those out because I don't want other teams to know what those are. But I just know we weren't exactly where we need to be, and there's lots of good pieces that were added to this, and it's trying to figure out how to trust those people with some of the shots. And I feel like we have the best team in the whole league. We have the two of the best back to the back players in the league. There's not too many people that can stop them. We have one of the best point guards, I think, when it comes to in transition and speed and driving. No, I don't think there's anyone that can really stop Rashawn. But it's complicated in a way too, because when you got two guys that are posting up, then you have those driving lanes clogged, right? And so it's more about balance. How do we allow those driving lanes to open up sometimes, and then also a lot of plays are created in the drive, right? So I think a lot of what I saw is I'm looking for a certain amount of rhythm. I'm looking for a certain amount, even if we're missing shots, it's okay if we're getting good shots and we're making good plays. And I just think this team's so talented that sometimes they just make plays that they're so physical too. They get in the paint and they create stuff, and it's good and bad, right? So it's like a lot of those shots you could argue, are they forced? If you're being double teamed and still making it, you're just so good and so strong. But you're also depending a little bit on the referees to call certain calls. And to me, I want to play a game that isn't dependent on the referees. And so to me, that's having a sort of offense that keeps the defense on their heels so much that you're getting uncontested layups, you're getting a lot of catch and shoot shots. And that way, it doesn't always have to be dependent on a shot going strong to the basket, which these guys do great. How many shots are there that they take that are physical and they still make the bucket, right? 3-point plays. So I'm a little just frustrated because I think we should be, like, I thought we should have beat the Thunder by 30, and I thought we should have beat you guys by 20, right? And so I just didn't see the momentum there. And so pain is the best teacher sometimes, right? And these guys have a lot of pride. And I think that they're going to probably saying to themselves, we're never going to let this happen again, right? And so I'm excited about the rest of the season and how this game sort of gives us motivation to never let it be close again. I think Christian and Tonio are underutilized. I think they have a lot more potential. And so it's just learning those other three, learning how to set them up. We still have Jared Johnson. That's probably the best player, one of the best players on the team. So we have a big four, not just a big three. But that last shot, I don't know if Rashawn should have took that. I saw Christian in the corner wide open. And that could have been, and that's just seeing and knowing that's what's your options. You have more than one option. So. And for the Nets, I was, so for the very start, I felt like we had to contain Laster, our Martavius, and he just did what he wanted. And I was really sort of disappointed on how many, even there were times when he'd get to the cup and he wouldn't score, but him just missing the layup and the help defender coming off gave the other team an easy offensive rebound putback. And so on the ball defense for us, for the Celtics, I think has to be a lot better. And in the other games we got bailed out because the guys weren't good enough to finish, or they didn't really have anybody rebounding to get those second chance shots. But the Nets did a great job of getting they had 55 shots and we had 42 shots, right? So they got a lot of second chance opportunities to put the ball back in the hole. And some of those were Jameer hitting threes. Some of those were, I think Maurice where he get a second chance opportunity. Big Chills had some huge shots. He had a huge 3-pointer. I think we got flagged 3 or 4 times where we were even trying to contest it, and Jameer still hit 2 big threes in that second half on us. So we led the whole game, but we let them hang around. And so you can't let a team as good as the Nets do that, because they'll figure out, they'll creep back in. They had only had 5 turnovers. They had 9 steals. Right. So and then, like we said, 8 of 10 from the free throw line. 80%. You want to be 80% as a team, 90% as an individual. And Martavius was 5 of 6. 11 of 17. Yeah, we should have had a couple more free throws. So everybody, I think, on my team could remember 1 or 2 or 3 different things they could have done a lot better. That was just a little bit lazy. So hats off to the Nets, though, for not quitting. They didn't give up, and they stayed with it to the very end. And I see it, but I see my team making adjustments and doing the good things in the future. So I think Bashan really was the key to this game, and he knows what he needs to do next game.
I agree. Mr. Peebles, what you got for this game?
For the record, predictions last week, Mr. Peoples was the only one that picked the Nets to win this game.
That's very true. I was teetering, but I did pick the Celtics.
Listen, let me tell you something. It's all about culture, man. It's all about playing together. And one thing I saw in the game, saw Vashawn, he was really playing to the crowd. And Poodle, but I've seen Poodle grow from 8th grade, since he was in 8th grade on up. And I remember when he would let that bother him, and he didn't. He didn't let it bother him yesterday. Even when Vashawn would, do what he do, which I like. I like all that. But he didn't let himself get rattled. And that was a big thing in the game, because when your leader is not getting rattled because of other festivities that's going on within the game, that's big. And he didn't get rattled. The Nets, keep in mind, without Mook Lawrence, a defensive juggernaut in his own right. Still didn't have Troy Louis, a guy that some people haven't saw yet in the league. But I know him as a player from when he played in college and everything. So I know what he can do, So, with the culture within the Nets,
sorry to cut you off, but no Sammy Hines as well.
Right. No Sammy Hines also. So, huge. When we talk about the best teams in the league, and no offense to Josh, I understand that's your team, so I know it's great for you to feel as though the Celtics are the best team. I like the Celtics myself. I got a lot of friends within the Celtics. But I'm not going to display who I feel is the best team in the league. But the Nets are definitely a team that everyone will have a concern against every time they play them, because they will come out and play hard. They are gritty, and they play together. So that's why I went with them last week. Even knowing that Sammy wouldn't be there, I didn't know Mook wasn't going to be there. But even with Sammy not being there, and with the anticipation that Troy was going to play last week, I went with the Nets, obviously. And, and within the game, obviously I didn't know who was going to win. No one knows that. But I knew that the Nets was going to give themselves a chance to win because of who they are, how they play, and things of that nature. Um, Celtics, on the other hand, man, Antonio Phillips. Antonio Phillips. You know, coming into this season, I really thought he was going to have a more efficient year. It's the third game. Still got, 9 more to go. But, from the first 3 games, he hasn't been efficient. And, I really thought coming to this new team, he would get more touches. Well, he would get touches, more touches that would lead him to the basket, cutting to the basket, being a slasher that he is, and things of that nature. And sometimes I forget he's even on the floor. Yeah, he had 6 rebounds. That's cool. But I forget that he's on the floor. That's a problem. Knowing who he is and what he can do on the floor. So I don't know if that's within the offense or if it's ball dominant to Vashawn Sims and Quaz Necker, things of that nature. But I do feel like there's a lot of holes within the Celtics that should be addressed because it could really hurt them in the long run when you run against the Spurs, when you run against even the Bulls, when you run against the Lakers and things of that nature. So, I mean, I'm not shocked the Nets won, but I'm not shocked that the Celtics didn't. Like Josh said, I guess this was a humbling experience for his team. I hope it was. But yeah, I just feel like the Nets were the better team because of their chemistry. They were the better team because they had the best player on the floor to me, and Puda Laster. Because he brought it on the floor that game. And the reason why I want to say Kavos is because to me he complained too much. I understand he's a referee and things of that nature, but he's not a referee at that time. So he just has to play the game within a game. And like he got a technical foul at a crucial point of the game. That technical foul, people will argue cost them the game. Y'all lost by 1. They hit the technical foul. So, like, just play the game, man. If they call a call, because I'm sure he's not a perfect referee. He made calls that people didn't agree with, things of the nature, and they had to move on. So that's one thing I would say. Just play the game. And so, yeah, that's all I got to say.
I'll make mine short and sweet because I really don't have much to say about this game. I like both of these teams, to be honest. I really like the Celtics going into this game. I thought they had the advantage with their size down low, but I'm learning that it's hard for the guards to really get going because of how dominant they are down low. Antonio Phillips is a guy that likes to get downhill, finish at the basket, very long, very athletic. He only gets that jump shot when players, expect him to go downhill. So when you have Andrade and you have Ryan Kavos and sometimes Jay, because Jay was trying to do that turnaround jump shot a few times, and he tried to get it going. He wanted that turnaround jumper so bad in the game, and I noticed it. It's hard for kind of Antonio Phillips to get the shots that he wants. He rebounded like we know he can. But he only took 1 shot. He made it. But I think that Antonio Phillips has to get more touches and more involved going downhill, putting pressure on the defense. I think that as athletic as Vashawn Sims is, I'd rather Antonio Phillips get downhill. That's just me. I think Vashawn Sims can use that more so because he's quicker, and both of those guys are really explosive. I don't know. I probably want to say that V Sims is more explosive because of his height. And how high he can get, but Antonio Phillips is longer and he can get just as high in the air. I think that Antonio Phillips can use it more for scoring, but Vashawn Sims can do it more for getting people involved and breaking down zones. Because nobody can play a zone against this Celtics team. They're too smart, they're too big, and then they know how to, get to the middle of the floor where they can break it down. I just think Antonio Phillips needs more touches. I think he needs to. I think when he plays with talent, like like you said about myself, like when you play on a team with, lesser talent where you have to ball out, it's a different story. You get all the shots you need, you get all the looks you need, you get all the spaces you need, you get all the lanes that you need. And then you have that freedom to where, making a mistake is kind of not as crucial because you have the ball more. So it's like kind of more okay to make a mistake. But when you have, like me personally, I'm just going to go back to my game, having 4 turnovers, that's not okay because I wasn't a primary ball handler. Like having 4 turnovers when you're not the one initiating the play is just a no-no. Like if Wally Watson was to have 8 assists and 4 turnovers, it's a different story. But for me not to have 1 assist and have 4 turnovers is terrible. Like Antonio Phillips he's got to, the Celtics have to find a way to get him going, have to find a way to run plays for him to get downhill and get the ball in the basket because that creates more pressure for the other team. And you guys would be scoring 90-something points a game if he can get downhill. That's just my opinion and take on that. And for the Nets, they did what they always do. They never hang their heads and they play until the final buzzer goes. I say this every single week. And I was talking to an anonymous source, won't say their name. They said that the Nets honestly should be 0-3 because they have not played to their top potential. And every team they've played has been a nail biter. As good as they are, they just came out on top because they don't hang their head and they play to the very end. Dennis Koger, 3 for 13, hit the biggest shot of the game. He doesn't make that shot. Celtics win the game. V. Sims doesn't turn the ball over. There's no opportunity for Koger to make that shot. It's so many factors. There's a technical foul that's called. They make the free throw. You guys go 11 for 17 from the free throw line. They go 8 for 10. It's so many different factors into why each team won or lost this game. Like you can't be mad. This game is literally like a LeBron powder clap toss up. Like, it's like may the best man win and may the person who makes the final mistake lose. Like it literally comes down to that. So I'm not mad at the result of this game. If the Celtics were to lose in any type of fashion, it had to be this fashion for them to get better. And if the Nets were to win in any type of fashion, it had to be in this fashion for them to get that much better because of how good the Celtics are. And everybody knows it. And that's pretty much all I got on this game.
Let me ask you a question.
What's up?
So did the Nets play their best to win this game? Did they have to play their best to win this game?
No.
So you didn't think they played their best in order to win?
No, not
Dennis Koger 3 for 13.
Okay.
No, they win this game. Dennis going 3 for 13. If you told me Dennis was going to go 3 for 13, I'd say you guys would win.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you say they have no Sammy Hines and no McLaurin. I say Celtics.
Or no Troy Louis.
Troy Louis. Right. I say Celtics win by 10, 15. But they win by 1. Like you couldn't tell me that the Nets will win by 1. If I read the stat line for the Nets and I read the stat line for the Celtics, you would say Celtics win this game. If I don't say any percentages and I just say numbers, you'd say Celtics win this game. It's just the Nets did not play their best game. They just played a entirely different second half than the first half.
They just hung around long enough
to catch rhythm. That's all it was. Jameer Hines made 2 big shots. Dennis made a huge shot. Martavius got some huge rebounds. You guys started losing your composure a little bit, got a technical foul. Like it was just, like I said, they took advantage of every single opportunity. Literally every single one of them and won by a skinch, if that's a word. But we'll go to the next game. And this was a shocker for me, guys. I was so impressed by the Bulls this game. So Bulls Spurs, 74-69 was the final score. Bulls win. Both teams had a great second half. We'll say that much. Both teams, this was a tie ball game at the half, 29-29. Bulls scored 45 points in the second half, and the Spurs scored 40. But and this is the craziest thing. If the Bulls didn't feel good until now is the best time to feel good because they had both green guys. They had both green brothers. Michael Bradford's there. John Martin's playing. Trey Johnson's playing. Jeremy Davis plays. Octavius Davis plays. Ethan Graham is here. Like, they have their full team, guys, except for one key component, and that's Gerald Duckworth, who is another dynamic guard that can play along with Michael Bradford, and those two guys are like brothers. So that can definitely help. But Herb offered, guys. Herb offered, guys. This guy had a game. Not only did he have 22 points, but the way he got his 22 points, he literally took everything that the defense gave him. They left him open from the three. He knocked it down. They saw a smaller guy on him. They gave it to him, and he went to work and got the basket. He was 8 for 10 from the field, 3 for 5 from the 3-point line, and 3 for 3 from the free throw line. The guy had a game. Like, that's something that I had no clue was going to happen. And Benny Munoz finally breaks the shell. And he scores his first 20-point game of the season, had 5 rebounds and 3 assists to go along with it. Nick Crow had a great game as well, 14 points and 14 rebounds with 3 assists and 2 steals. No Seth Johnson in this game as well. So you couldn't tell me that they would win this game without Seth. But if you look deeper into it, there's more space. No Seth in the game. There's a lot more space for driving lanes, for other people to crash the offensive rebound. They can run more in transition, which they actually did. They got in transition a lot this game. And that's one thing that I did not expect from the Bulls. The Spurs actually didn't. It was not the ball movement I expected to see from them to start. Like, it was a lot of Micah Bradford coming down the court trying to find his jump shot. He was 3 for 10 from the 3-point line, 7 for 18 overall. You know, he makes 2 more shots, he's 50%. I think about stuff like that all the time. You know, 7 for 18 looks bad, but he makes 2 more shots, then he makes half. Now we're not talking about anything, you know. 4 for 6 from the free throw line. He had 8 rebounds and 3 assists to go along with his 21 points. He led them in scoring. Trey Johnson with 11 and 8. Octavius Davis with 12 and 8. Well, 12 and 6. You couldn't tell me that the Spurs would lose this game when they had 4 guys in double figures. Like, the Bulls just came to play. That's all I really have to say. I'm not even gonna give my take on it. I just think Herb Alford was the catalyst for everything for them. He kept their momentum going when they couldn't get anything going. He made shots, and they stuck with it to the end of the game. Miguel Munoz was 2 for 8, but I will say, if you watched him, he did everything he was supposed to do, and all 8 shots he took were good shots. They were in rhythm. None of them were forced. He had a bunch of tips. He was just all over the place. Like, I think that the Bulls just played an extremely good game, and the Spurs the lack of ball movement for the Spurs is what cost them this game, and that's what their number one thing is. Especially when you have both Green brothers. You tell me Ben and Chris combined for 18. I wouldn't expect that. Mr. Peoples, talk to me about this game.
Well, for the record, I told the Spurs to win this game. And they lost, obviously.
I think we all picked the Spurs to win this game.
Very disappointing in the Spurs. Definitely didn't play their game as far as playing efficient defense. Their defense was lackadaisical sometimes, and they just didn't have a good game yesterday. But only still lose by 5 points, and they didn't play their best game. I mean, the Bulls aren't horrible. And honestly, I feel like they play better without Seth Johnson. No offense to Seth, like Seth, cool guy, great coach as well at CPCI. But from what I've seen from this year, I just feel like they play better without him because there's more space, and it just the ball flows better. So I do feel as though the Spurs will bounce back next Sunday and get a win. And Bulls definitely made it known that they can beat anybody in this league like they did last year. I mean, they beat great teams last year. So beating the Spurs isn't surprising. I'm just disappointed in how the Spurs played. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that game.
So yeah, the Spurs are always going to be the team people want to beat or they think could be the best because they've won so many championships. And let's see. Yeah, adding Micah, after Koger left is definitely a good pickup. I I like Ben and Chris. Chris, I believe, is leaving, by the way. So I don't think he'll be finishing the season out. I think he's going to Arizona, the word is. So it's going to be interesting to see who steps up. My kid really didn't have good games before this, so it's good to see him get some points on the board, get some assists, and if he can continue just to make progress, I think that he can fill that void. But I always like the Bulls team. They always compete. They never see a game where they get blown out, it seems. I think in the past when they've lost, it is because Seth Johnson is more playing on the perimeter instead of in the paint. And I always thought that Nick Crow didn't get enough touches before. So this game seemed like, yeah, the touches were pretty much even around the board. And seeing Herb come on here and be able to get 22 his first game, I mean, that's, to me, he's probably just going to keep on getting better and better every game. And he's earned the respect of getting more touches, obviously. And, I like seeing Bobby even develop more as a guard that he's just not a shooter. He can keep his dribble. He can wait for that play to open up. And so I always like the Bulls for an upset team, really. But yeah, it was good. They're the underdog no matter what. Like I said, whoever plays the Spurs, it's always sort of expected that you're going to be the underdog. But just a fun game to watch and going back and forth. And I see the Spurs sort of have to figure out, who their identity is. I think Mike has the ability to take them and keep them relevant throughout the season. But when it comes down to one game elimination, it's going to be interesting to see what they do to try to win this year.
Yeah, this Spurs team is very interesting. I wonder how they're gonna play without the Green. Jeremy Davis didn't have the game you'd think he would have. He got in foul trouble pretty early. Is this game was like, it was just a tale of like two different play styles and which play style was gonna win. Like the Bulls used their size to their advantage, and in the first, they were supposed to use their ball movement and their shooting to their advantage. But shooting 8 for 27 is not going to cut it. The Bulls shot 8 for 26, so I guess they shot one shot better. They took one less shot, so their percentage is better. They out rebounded them 37 to 29. But if you're a 3-point shooting team, you can kind of afford to lose that rebounding battle. But they just didn't make shots. They didn't shoot that bad. They didn't shoot that well, should I say. Matt Cunningham texted me after the game and told me that the Bulls are legit contenders. Like, they are a really good team. And he said he doesn't see the Spurs shooting as bad as they did this game. He also told me that he didn't like the way that they were moving the ball, the lack of ball movement, should he say, as I've said a few times. And they're going to make some adjustments. He said this loss is not a bad loss for them. This is a loss that they can learn from. And they expect to be better the next week. So we're going to go to the final game of the week, which is a very interesting game to me. Very political game, if you ask me. I don't think this game was competitive whatsoever. I think it was political. Because there's players from the Heat that left and went to the Warriors. So they call this their revenge game. From Alonzo King and from Jacquees Springer. Tyrese Mosley sat for most of this game. I think he maybe played 12 minutes total. I don't think he played much at all. Took 3 shots, 0 for 1 from 3, 1 rebound, 1 turnover, 1 steal, 1 block. No points. Had a goose egg this game. The best player on the team for the Warriors this game was Otis Houston. And he had an amazing game. I have honestly nothing bad to say about the game.
This is the game you should be talking the most trash, really.
This is absolutely. And the thing is, when he was doing what he was doing, he was not talking. Right. He didn't say a word. He didn't say a word. He was locked in. Somebody said something to him. He said, "Oh, okay. Now you didn't turn me up." And then he didn't say a word after that. And he proceeded to make maybe 5 or 6 shots in a row. Like it was, and it was. I don't know. Otis Houston locked into a whole nother bag. He started doing spin moves and dropping dimes and hitting threes and setting teammates up. Like it was. Otis Houston had a game, guys. I can't really say too much about it. They had 6 players for the Heat. Um, Trey Anthony is showing why he's a force to be reckoned with now. The only blemish he had was the 3 fouls and 5 turnovers, but he had 19 points, 3 steals, and 4 rebounds, which is a solid stat line for him. Jalman Sullivan had 21 points and 6 rebounds with 2 assists. Yeah, Darian Bosby. So I will say this: he didn't make any excuses, but he got into an altercation with a dog, guys. He was fighting a dog. Like I believe he was making a delivery or doing something, and a dog got loose, and he ended up fighting a dog, and it messed up his right hand. Um, so he couldn't shoot like at all. He made his 3 free throws, but he was over 5 from the 3-point line. He made a layup. He had 2 steals and 2 rebounds, but Darian Bosby was not himself that game. Like it's not even a fluke. Like I saw his hands, like they were tore up. Like his hands were tore up. He won the fight though, and he's still alive to tell the story. So that's the best thing to say. But the Heat outside of Trey Anthony and Jalman Sullivan didn't do what they were supposed to do. Sean Ort showing why he's one of the better rebounders. 10 rebounds this game. Shaquille Adams 1 for 9 from the field. 0 for 7 from 3. Cavante Kelly 0 for 4 from the field. Darian Bosby 1 for 7. That's not gonna get it done against anybody. But Otis Houston with 18 points, 5 rebounds. Now Otis Houston with the rebounding. I saw him dive in for an offensive rebound. I've never seen him move that fast in my life. Like Otis, if he plays this the way he played this game, every game, Warriors win it all. I just don't see them losing. Like especially when they add Tone Marshall, I don't see them losing the game. Kwani Blackman does what he does. He ended up fouling out. He actually picked up his 4th and then picked up a tech, and that was his 5th. So he had 12.7 rebounds, 2 assists. Really good job. Kwani Blackman probably checked off every stat thing in the stat board in the beginning of the game. Jordan Houston came out being really aggressive. He went 1 for 5, 3 for 4 from the free throw line. But I like the way he was playing aggressive and getting to the paint. Aaron Hall defensively was great this game. 4 points, 2 steals, 6 rebounds. Alonzo King, I know he's not happy with the close shots that he misses. Maybe his nerves, maybe he's not getting enough reps. Who knows? Latrell Tidwell had 13 points on 7 shots. He was 6 for 7 from the free throw line. Spread rebounds around this game: 5, 6, 4, 7, 6, 5. Like the whole entire Warriors thing was rebounding. 34 rebounds to the Heat's 26. Like I said, it's not much to talk about as far as this game goes. Like I said, this was a political win for the Warriors versus like a competitive win. Coach Josh, tell me what you think about this game.
Yeah, I'm glad you said something about Mosby because I was thinking this is like crazy that it's just not even like he's there, you know. So hopefully he'll get better. So pray for him. But yeah, Trey Anthony, I'm just always hyped. It's not just that he's scoring, but it's how he's scoring, and he's making a lot of tough shots, but he's getting his team involved as well, and just seeing how he's playing despite not having pretty much he just has a new team pretty much. I'm just really proud of the way he's playing, and if they can get Mosby back, I think they're gonna just have that great backcourt and just fill in the pieces from there. The Warriors, obviously they were second place last year, and so they're gonna be it's gonna be interesting. I see that sort of like maybe like Chris Paul, Devin Booker type duo when it comes to the Antonio coming to their team. Well, he'll probably do more facilitating, and Tyree can be more of a 2 guard. And then, Tidwell has been stepping up as well when it comes to his range. So the game before this, I think he had 3 or was it 2 or 3 3-pointers? So
yeah, 3 for 6 this game.
Yeah, and Kwani, man, the game against the Magic when he was just taking it to Billy Baptist, like he didn't care who he was. I think the Warriors are going to me are the team to beat this year. If you want to solidify and get confidence, you're gonna have to go through them. And so they probably, besides the Celtics, probably to me made the biggest moves, and it will be interesting how they fit. It's funny because a lot of times Otis I feel like hurts them, and I question whether he should even play as much as he does sometimes. But this game, he sort of proved why he's in there and what he can do if he's given the opportunity. And he stepped up when Tyree wasn't playing for whatever reason. I don't know what the case was, if he's hurt or something. But yeah, I was wondering where he was the whole game. But yeah, let's this is probably one of the best teams in the league here, and we'll see that the jerseys are in, aren't they? So next
Jerseys
Sunday,
are in.
everybody who was not playing because of that should be there. So who do we know who they play next week? Let's see here.
The Warriors play the Thunder.
The Thunder, okay. So those would be a good warm-up game for them to see and try different people in different places to see how this is going to all work for them. But yeah, it was, like you said, a political game. And I don't think Trey has to prove anything to anybody. He's shown who he is, despite people sort of not probably feels like a little bit betrayed, because they didn't have like a really bad year. They just had bad stretches here and there. They had a good team defensively. So yeah, let's see what happens. Hopefully Mosby's hands will was the Heat missing anyone else? I feel like they're missing someone else too.
The Heat actually, they only had 7 players to begin with. I think they only had 8 players to begin with, and they have 3 players coming. I'm gonna let Cortez Peoples give his insight on this game after you, because he'll be able to tell you more about it than we can know. So, Mr. Peoples, what you got?
Man. I don't know. I understand y'all reasoning of it being a political game, but I don't see it for the most part. But I mean, Dan Bosby obviously was injured, so he was very limited to what he could do. Shaquille Adams definitely was invisible from the game versus the first game that he played of the year. I mean, I don't expect him to have this stat line ever again because I know what type of player he is. Sean, I mean, he did what we expect: 10 rebounds. Of course, we want him around that 8-10 point mark, maybe. But at the same time, Tone Marshall is a blessing, will be a blessing for the Warriors. Because definitely, still, if they didn't have Tone Marshall, they're definitely not the best, not even top 3 team in the league to me. Because keep in mind, first 3 games of the season, they win all 3 of those games by less. They won this one by 7. Won the one last week by 5, I believe. And then the first game of the season, no, they lost the one last week by 1 or 2 or something like that. And then the first game of the season, they won that by like less than 10 points. So, I mean, I don't see how they're considered. I mean, they have Tyree Mosley, obviously, but to me, they are very lazy on the defensive side. Not balanced. I mean, Tone is definitely going to bring that balance to the team that they need. That's why I said they're a blessing. But the Heat, like Walt just said, I mean, they got 3 stouts coming on next week. Miko Sullivan, Kamari Pickens, which was there yesterday, the about 6'6", 6'7" kid. Miko Sullivan 6'4". And the other guy, I don't know how tall he is, but from what I know, and because I coached them myself, they are really great players. And Kamari Pickens and Miko Sullivan definitely going to change the dynamic of the team. So I'm just saying, that's why I'm not picking anyone right now, because we still ain't seen everybody yet. So it's still a sight to see. Like, for example, Grizzlies still don't have everybody. The Bulls don't even. The Bulls still missing, I think, like 2 people that hasn't played for them yet. So, like, to me, it's still kind of early to be like, oh God, this is like the top team. I think we base decisions on what we already know from last year and things of that nature, which is cool. But it's still a lot to see and a lot to experience, and a lot of people gonna be really shocked, because they're gonna be like, oh, hold on, this game ain't gonna be as easy as what I thought it would be. So, skirt, pump brakes. I think there's something coming next week. Well, something's coming. I'm talking from Grizzlies, from Heat, from other teams that don't have everybody. Not to say anything, but just stay tuned. Just stay tuned.
Yeah, it's gonna week 4 is gonna be like week 1 all over again.
That's why
week 4 is gonna be like week 1 all over.
It's kind of premature to name top teams right now because everybody don't have everyone.
Yeah, like you said, the Grizzlies played with 6 players week 1, 6 players week 7 players week 2, then 5 players week 3. The Heat played with 6 players week 1. Yeah, it was
5 week 2 and then 6 in week 3.
Yeah, it's different. It's different when you can't sub out. Like, I promise you, I wanted to sub out so bad, and I looked at the bench and nobody was there, and I'm like, well, gotta play. So it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe. Right, when you got people on the bench.
And definitely when you could sub in and out. Jarman played the whole game. Sean Ort played the whole game.
Jarman sat. Trey is the one that didn't sit. Trey didn't sit.
Right, Trey played. I think
and Bosby
didn't sit either.
Trey and Bosby are the only 2 people that didn't sit.
The one that had a fight with a dog didn't sit the whole game. Listen,
they call him a dog.
That's why I said it's still not known who's the best team yet. I'm sorry. It's just not, because I see deficiencies in each of these teams.